Welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idle, and we have got an interesting story coming out of the BBC right now. There's a fun little hashtag on Twitter trending, hashtag boycott BBC. So I want to check it out, see what it was about. Frankly, I was just hoping people were boycotting the BBC because they realized that Doctor Who fucking sucks, but turned out it was something a bit more interesting than that. Let's go through this article from dailymail.co.uk. BBC bans white people from applying for £18,000 trainee job on Springwatch in The One Show. Now, I don't know how much £18,000 is in American dollars, but I imagine it's a decent amount for a trainee job, especially if it's got a hashtag brewing because of it. So let's read through this. The BBC has sparked a discrimination row after only allowing people from ethnic minorities to apply for a trainee position. The broadcaster is advertising a one-year, £17,810 trainee production management assistant role with the science unit in Glasgow, but the position is only open to black, Asian, and ethnically diverse candidates. Positive discrimination is unlawful under the Equity Act 2010, but positive action is allowed for trainee and internship roles in areas where there is underrepresentation. So I guess it's probably going to boil down to is affirmative action, or at least the UK's version of affirmative action, needed in this case. Now, my views on affirmative action are mixed. Obviously, we want individuals who are of different races, ethnicities, to have a fair shake. I don't know if the way affirmative action works in the US gives them that fair shake, because then there's always the question of, did you get this job because you earned it, or are you just a diversity hire, which is such an insulting question. I don't know how it works in the UK, but I can only imagine it's the same, and all I know is that if I were a person of color, and I got hired for a job and was asked that question, I'd feel insulted, not because the person asking probably thinks I'm not qualified, but because the government put us in a position where somebody is asking that question. So, at the end of the day, it's an oversight at the highest levels of government, not on a small individual basis who is probably fearing for their own jobs or security, what have you. But let's go on. The advert was posted online by Creative Access, a company that aims to boost the number of ethnic minorities working in creative media and arts industries. I mean, you can just send them all over to Hollywood. We all know there's plenty of opportunities there. Whoever gets the post will have the chance to work on popular BBC shows, including Springwatch, The One Show, and the Truth About series. The advert by Creative Access says the successful candidate will be someone with a desire to build a career in the TV industry and demonstrable interest in BBC studios. Well, a career in the TV industry doesn't really even matter now. I mean, I get it, the BBC is publicly funded, assuming that's still the case in the UK, but who watches TV? They have to be dying. I mean, with streaming services and piracy and people just using YouTube, I don't see this being a lucrative career, especially not going forward. I mean, we're already seeing streaming services fail because there's too many out there. So, does anyone that's not 78 and a half years old still use real TV? Maybe they just don't have Hulu in the UK. I don't know. A trainee researcher position in the corporation's Bristol-based Neutral History Unit was also recently advertised as being open to only candidates from ethnic minority background. Last night, the BBC would not disclose how many training roles were similarly advertised, but a spokesman said, "The BBC is a welcoming, inclusive organization committed to representing and reflecting our audience." That one's interesting. Isn't the UK 98% white or something? It's a staggering amount. There's not a lot of diversity in the UK. So again, I'm not saying don't give people of ethnic differences jobs. Of course, that would be horrendous to do that. But if we're talking about reflecting your audience, well, your audience is 98% white. That's just counterintuitive mathematically. So maybe change your wording there. We support a scheme organized by Creative Access. Oh, scheme. That's just a bad word choice. That sounds nefarious. Anyway, we support a scheme organized by Creative Access, an independent organization dedicated to increasing diversity in the creative industries, which provides development roles fully in line with the Equality Act. The BBC has previously talked of its pride in helping people from underrepresented groups get their first break into the media. Some 18% of all highest earners now come from black and ethnic minority backgrounds, a rise of 6% in the past 4 years. Actually, that's a pretty big rise. Not even going to comment anything negative or snarky about that. a 6% rise in 4 years, especially when it's already a relatively low percentage of people of color in a place like the UK. Yeah, fair enough. BBC Director General Tim Davies has said that the lack of diversity among its top-paid stars means the broadcaster has more work to do on the issue. I don't know about that. I mean, what you want are people who are good at their job. I mean, it took me 3 takes just to say that right. So, and you're only going to see the good one. If you've got individuals in there that aren't good at their job and you're just hiring them for diversity points, that's going to lower the quality of your product. So you don't have more work to do on that issue. What you need is the right people for the job. And if those right people are of diverse natures, then good, more power to you. But you don't want to take somebody who can maybe speak flawlessly and never say unlike me, and replace them with somebody who probably doesn't have a whole lot of experience in the area, just so you can pat yourself on the back and say that you're not racist. People are going to tune in for a quality product. They don't really care about the ethnicity of the person delivering them the news. They care about the news. Earlier this year, the BBC published its Diversity and Inclusion Plan with a commitment to ensure its workforce comprises 50% women, 20% black and ethnic minority, and 12% disabled, to better reflect UK society. It said it also offers placements to other underrepresented sectors of society and aimed to improve social mobility by investing in apprenticeships and offering placements to those at mid-career level. See, that doesn't make sense to me. This has never made sense to me, whether it be in the US or anywhere else. You know, oh, we need 50% women, we need 20% ethnic minority. Like, that's counterintuitive to how you run a business. When you run a business, your job, at least it should be, to make money. You want to continue making money so that you can expand the business, so you can make more money, so on and so forth. Capitalism at its finest. But when you set these hard percentage numbers and say, okay, we need 50% of our employees to be women, even if 10% of those women are actually worse than the 10% of the men, then your product is inherently going to generate 10% less money. So, I don't know, these optics of we need this or we need that just seem like they're afraid of what Twitter's going to say. And Twitter has spoken. Now we have this hashtag, boycott BBC. So, the people you are afraid of offending, you haven't offended. You've now upset the opposite, and Twitter's still talking smack. Point is, you can't please the internet. Speaking with the Diversity and Inclusion Plan was launched, Mr. Davies said, "We must from top to bottom represent audiences we serve. We have made some big improvements, but we want and need to go further. This plan will ensure we are a modern, progressive, and welcoming organization." But that's the thing. You don't need to be a modern, progressive, or welcoming organization. You're a TV network. You need to just put shit on TV that people want to watch. Like, it's that simple. I mean, there's a reason that Fox News, who is just abhorrent when it comes to their coverage of shit, is outpacing people like CNN and MSNBC. Everyone knows they're a radical right-wing news organization, but they know what they're doing in terms of how to run their business. They're giving the people what they want instead of pandering to statistics on the internet. And it's doing them well, so maybe learn something from Fox News as much as you don't want to admit it. Joe Ventre, digital campaign manager at the Taxpayers Alliance, said BBC bosses shouldn't be supporting race-based recruiting with taxpayers' money. Agreed. You're flat out right, Joey. Taking an approach like this further undermines confidence in the corporation and their use of license fee payers' cash. Again, I know the BBC is government funded. I don't know enough about the UK and what he means by license fee payers' cash. I don't know if it's something that, I assume it's something the government pays so that British television can have this channel, for free for its citizens, but I don't know. So we'll just have to do with that information what we will, and if you're British in the comments, please tell me, educate me. I'm an idiot. The Taxpayers Alliance believes the BBC license fee is an unfair tax on people who are already taxpayers. Creative Access did not respond to requests for comment. Interestingly enough, that is the end of the article. It did not talk about the actual hashtag itself, but if you go on Twitter, it is trending. I'm sure all, 10,000 British people have just really gotten up in a frenzy over that. I mean, I know there's more than 10,000, but does anybody care? Like, we won the war for a reason. We don't have to care about the fact that they're over there not pronouncing their R's, right? But in all seriousness, yeah, I would say that is probably not in the best interest of the BBC. It is kind of a racist policy. A government-ran news network straight up saying white people can't apply for this job. Yeah, no matter how you slice it, that's racist. Is it worth caring about? No, probably not, because 12 people watch the BBC anyway. But whenever an interesting hashtag pops up on Twitter, sometimes it leads to a fun story, and I think this was, well, at least a funny story. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Please like, subscribe. I'm really trying to grow this channel. Also follow me on Twitter at BoltTheWord. And this has been Words of Paradise.